We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming for a tornado warning actually starting to develop just to the east of Centerville, in between Bloomfield, starting to work its way into Davis County. This tornado warning will go out until 9:45 p.m. and on velocity compared to what it was yesterday with these velocity couplets, I mean, that's actually a much better velocity couplet. So reds and greens right up next to each other, starting to work its way into Orleans. This thing is moving towards the northeast. I'll actually double check the speed, but yeah, if you're in Orleans, any of these streets right around it, just to the north of Moulton, right along State Highway 3, just to the west of West Grove. So if you are within this area, within Appanoose County, it's about to cross into Davis County here in just a moment. Be very wise to get into your interior room and just take the graphic, please, sir. Thank you. Follow those steps. Make sure to bring that weather radio within you. Well, bring that weather radio with you right now. And I'm getting a little bit of word from the NWS chat saying that the environment isn't overly supportive in the low levels, but at least you cannot argue the rotation we're currently seeing on velocity. So the reds and the greens are butted up right up next to each other. Do you think, anyone in production, do you think you can pull up the, well, it's basically in the middle of the night right now, and I'm just wondering if you could possibly pull up the Centerview Skycam and point it towards the east. Probably, of course, it's in the middle of the night. If it is starting to form a tornado, you're certainly not going to be seeing it. And once again, we're actually paying attention right where those reds and greens are butting up against each other. I know over the past couple of times, especially over the weekend, the reds and greens weren't exactly lining up next to each other, but this one you cannot argue with that. The reds and greens are starting to butt up against each other, so they're bright, well, the bright greens, excuse me, and bright reds, but are right up next to each other. And the other threats, of course, we could see some pretty big hail associated with this as well, potentially, but really it's the overnight, it's really the velocity is actually quite impressive. And right now this is the radars from Des Moines, so it's actually a little bit elevated on the rotation, but still it's pretty tight, at least up there. It's kind of hard to tell what it is, at least on the lower levels. But once again, if you are, it's basically just crossed over Orleans, just crossed State Highway 3 into 225th, and it's moving towards the northeast. So if you are in the path of this, make sure to get into your safe space, basement, interior room, closet, bring that. Excuse me. All right, I was told the Skycam is available, but of course it's, okay, never mind. I was told it's frozen. It's not exactly working right now. And yeah, there is a little bit of hail associated with this, but of course the main concern is the main concern is the pretty decent rotation along with it. It's certainly not deniable. And also there's another storm they're monitoring that's moving into southern Davis County, and they're saying that this one that's moving into southern Davis County is actually starting to strengthen as well. So these storms are forming right along the northeast quadrant of a low pressure system that's actually in Kansas, and this is kind of an area where at least a deep layer shear is kind of maximized. So seeing some of these storms develop rotation was a little bit expected, but the available energy associated with some of these storms was not that high, so there was a small yet non-zero chance for a potential tornado. And well, As of right now, certainly can't deny, at least in the upper levels, it's looking actually very, very impressive with those reds and greens butted up right up next to each other. Once again, this storm is in between Orleans and West Grove, moving up towards the northeast. And let me get a little bit better approximation of how fast this is going. It's moving to the northeast at around 25 miles an hour. So kind of slow, but it's moving up to the northeast. And so future areas that could soon be affected by this. So Cedar Avenue, 202nd Street, Driftwood Boulevard, 195th Street, also Paris, State Highway 273, and anyone who's to the northeast of Orleans and West Grove, please make sure to get into your safe spot right now, because certainly cannot be argued with the rotation of this storm, starting to actually get those bright reds and bright greens. And I'm just curious, I think we can take the other links machine, and there is another product I want to at least trying to show that's actually not on this. So production, do you think we could take the other computer? And they're working to get that routed. But anyway, yeah, that rotation is certainly something to look at. It's got the bright reds and bright greens, a little bit broad, but certainly quite a bit of rotation in that storm. And so as of right now, if you're just tuning in, this storm is in between Orleans and West Grove, moving to the northeast at around 25 miles an hour. And if you are anywhere northeast of Orleans and West Grove, this storm is starting to cross from eastern Appanoose into western Davis County. So it's just in between Centerville and Bloomfield, and it's moving towards the northeast. And so if you are in Paris, Drakesville, Belknap, and then eventually Flores, which is in northern Davis County, start getting your stuff prepared to go into your safe space, interior room, closet, and if you have a basement, probably start making your way down towards there, because certainly decent when it comes to the rotation of this storm, at least in the upper levels. So far, I've not been seeing any sort of updates from the National Weather Service on this. They're also monitoring another storm just to the south, just entering southern Davis County, which is down to the southeast of this particular storm. And they're saying that's also starting to show signs of some intensification. So as of right now, the main warning is the storm is just starting to cross into western Davis County, and it's right in between, and like directly in between Centerville and Bloomfield. And the reds and the greens are certainly a lot more butted up against each other. Still kind of a little bit broad, at least in the rotation sense, but at least in the upper levels, got a decent amount of rotation. And if you compare this from some of the other rotational scans from over the weekend, some of those very weak tornadoes, the reds and the greens weren't exactly butted up against each other, and they weren't bright like what we're seeing right now. So certainly something interesting with this storm. And once again, if you were just tuning in, these storms are actually forming right along the northeast quadrant of this low pressure system that's actually in Kansas right now. And that's kind of an area where upper level shear, or at least deep layer shear, is kind of maximized. And a little bit ago, there was a small but a non-zero probability of a tornado in parts of northern Missouri, but that was mainly towards the northwestern corner of Missouri. But seeing as how we are getting into the nighttime hours, the low-level jet is actually starting to kick in, so that's probably certainly helping things out with the development of some of these storms. Could you repeat that, sir? All right. So we're going to switch to a different computer that has a certain product that I don't have, at least on the wall, and that is this. This is our debris tracker. And I know this radar site is quite a bit of ways away, so if there is a tornado that's ongoing, you would see that. So this product actually compares particle sizes with one another, and the more different each particle is, the colors start turning like green, then eventually blue. This is starting to look more like, at least hail is a little bit interfering with the debris, but if it is like there's a little bit of a debris ball, then it would show up as like bright blue, but it would not have some of these like continuing spikes shooting out of it. It would just be like a nice smooth ball. But anyway, yeah, we're starting to get at least much better rotation just right along State Highway 2, and it's directly in between Orleans and West Grove. At least, and this is kind of in the upper levels, like several thousand feet above. It's hard to tell what is going on at the surface. We're going to rely a little bit more on the ground reports, and plus it's nighttime, so it's insanely hard to see. We're going to rely on a whole bunch of well-trained spotters that, if they are in that area, to go and scope things out. And there's another storm just to the southwest that's just crossed from Missouri into southern Davis County. That's also being looked at for additional developments, as it's actually starting to intensify as well. National Weather Service in Des Moines is also certainly looking into that. But right now we're mainly focused on this one in between Centerville and Bloomfield. And this is, do you think we can take the, thank you, sir. And of course in the upper levels, I mean, that's actually really, really good when it comes to that rotation, those bright reds, bright greens right up next to each other. I mean, so we're basically going to assume that potentially something is on the ground. So once again, if we're going to be looking in, it's right crossing 220th Street towards Driftwood Boulevard, and that's Echo Avenue. It's moving off to the northeast at around 25 miles an hour. So those of you who are in the path, 202nd Street, 195th Street, 205th Street, more along Driftwood Avenue, and 192nd Street up towards Drakesville. And so if you are in the path of this storm is moving to the northeast at around 25 miles an hour. So if you are directly in the path of this, start to take those precautions. Avoid windows, of course, take pillows, blankets, mattresses, that sort of stuff to protect you. If you have a helmet, please take that with you as well. And also bring that weather radio in with you as well to get the latest updates on this particular storm. And still, the National Weather Service is also looking at a storm just to the south, just to the southeast of it, that's crossing into southern Davis County. Actually, mainly it's southwestern Davis County. They're also looking into that one as it's starting to intensify as well. But once again, we're mainly focused on this one. The velocity couplets on this one, of course, cannot be denied. The reds and the greens are basically butted up right up next to each other. And this storm is crossing, was in between Orleans and West Grove, but the rotation, at least majority of the center of it, it's just to the northwest of West Grove. So if you are in West Grove, I hope you are in your safe space right now. Once again, this storm's kind of tracking towards the northeast at around 25 miles an hour. And we'll go over the streets it's about to cross into. So 220th Street, Echo Avenue, Driftwood is basically almost right on top of you. 215th Street, 202nd Street, 210th, and basically everywhere in between. If you are in, so basically if you are kind of right where the intersection of the state highway is, all the way up to Drakesville, it'll be best to get into your safe spot right now. And see, this is something we're kind of heavily interested in, those bright reds and those bright greens just butted up right up and next to each other. That's indicative of some pretty strong rotation, at least in the upper levels. Once again, this radar site is in Des Moines, so it's a little bit of a ways away, so it's about a couple thousand feet above. It's hard to tell what's going on at the surface, but seeing as how it's in the middle of the night, I don't recommend anyone go out and try and look for it. And if people are going to be looking for it, it's going to be mainly the well-trained spotters, law enforcement. They're going to be relaying as much information as they possibly can to the National Weather Service and therefore us. Once again, the storm's moving off towards the northeast at around 25 miles an hour. It's just to the north of West Grove, moving towards Echo Avenue, 215th Street, 210th Street, 220th, and so if you are in those particular areas, it would be certainly, like, please get to cover immediately, although we have not seen any confirmation that there is a tornado on the ground. But once again, it certainly cannot be argued that the velocity couplet, at least right here, the reds and the greens and the reds butted up right up next to each other, especially this one starting to roll right into Echo Avenue towards 215th, 210, and almost near 220th Street. It's basically moving just to the north of the State Highway, moving into a little bit deeper into Davis County. And this warning will go until 9:45, but seeing as how the reds and the greens are butted up right up next to each other, there's certainly a possibility that they might extend this. And as of right now, I'm not seeing any further information regarding this, at least from the National Weather Service. And I believe they're going to actually, I don't know if they're going to be, they might actually start. Probably you're going to, 1 second. So yeah, those two storms, by the way, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. It's this one and also one down towards the southeast. Okay, so they did extend it further into Davis County. The other storm they were looking at is this one, right over Oneida, excuse me, and that one's starting to show reds and greens butted up right up next to each other. That one's also moving to the northeast at a similar gait to this one, but this is the one that is tornado warned. And so if you are in Bloomfield, make sure to get to your safe spot right now. This storm is moving towards the northeast at around 25 miles an hour, and so anyone in between basically West Grove and all in this warning box, all the way up into Chiquest, White Elm, Flores, Belknap, Drake, of course, Drakesville. And if you are anywhere in this warning box, start to take your safety precautions. Of course, gather that weather radio. If you have any towels, blankets, mattresses, if you have a basement, start going into there. Interior room, closet. There you see the graphic right there. Make sure to follow those steps, and of course bring that weather radio with you at all times. Make sure to get the latest when it comes to the latest when it comes to the storm. And it does appear that they are extending this warning all the way until 10:30 p.m. So I'm gonna start making some notifications on this one. And it'll be interesting to see if they start to warn that storm down towards the southeast. That's in basically the southeast corner of Davis County. Anyway, the storm that's moving that's just to the east of Bloomfield is going to be the one we're going to be paying attention to, as it was the first warned. Of course, we're also going to try and keep our eyes to the one down toward the southeast. And the reds and greens are certainly butted up next to each other. And once again, the storm is moving towards the northeast at around 25 miles an hour out there. Let me see if they kind of change the speed. You know, it's still, they're still estimating it's moving at around 25 miles an hour out there. And actually, we're going to zoom out because they actually pulled the trigger on this one, warning this one too. This one's also going to be at around 10:30 as well, I assume. Let me double check that. They're saying that one is around 10:15. So 2 tornado warnings all within Davis County. Certainly a hotbed right now of some rotation with some of these storms. So briefly just talk about this one right now. This is of course a little bit further from the radar, so it's a little bit higher up, but the rotation is certainly going over Wineta right now. So if you are in Wineta or just off to the northeast of Wineta, if you are in Milton, and so if you're in between Wineta and Milton, start taking your safety precautions right now. Go into your interior room, closet, basement, make sure you have the weather radio with you as well. Anyway, if you are in and around 285th Street, 270th Street, 275th Street, Wheat Avenue, and all the way up to the State Highway, and a little bit to the north of that State Highway. That's also still Wheat Avenue, 250th Street. Start taking your safety precautions right now. It appears that Pulaski might actually split the uprights, but I'm pretty sure it'd still be wise to, if you are in Pulaski, since you're surrounded by both of these storms, to also take your safety precautions as well. So 2 storms in Davis County that are tornado warned, moving to the northeast at around 25, potentially 30 miles an hour. This one's actually about to cross the county line. That one's about to cross the county line into, that one's about to cross the county line into Van Buren County. And it'll be interesting to see if they keep that one tornado warned. And the storm to the northwest one, that's just to the east of Bloomfield, that one's actually starting to lose, at least it's still got some greens and reds, but it's starting to at least starting to loosen up just a little bit on the tightness of that gradient. And it's actually starting to show a little bit more of a hail core just to the north of that. That's actually starting to move into Drakesville. So that hail core is just more indicated by in reflectivity value by those purples and of course those blacks. And so 2 tornado warnings right now. If you are in eastern Appanoose County, you are in the clear as of right now. Orleans is also in the clear as well. And we're mainly going to be looking at these 2 storms in Davis County that are tornado warned. Of course, the one that's just to the east of Bloomfield, that one's at least starting to loosen a little bit on the tightness of that red and green gradient. This one actually has a little bit of a tighter gradient, but it's still a little bit of a ways away from the radar site. So this is several thousand feet up. Who knows what's actually going on closer to the surface, but still we're going to act like it's potentially putting a tornado on the ground. It's just to the northeast of Wineta. We've got a little bit of a tighter gradient when it comes to those colors. It's starting to move into 285th Street, 275th. You're next, 270th Street. Also next, Wheat Avenue. That's going to come very close to you, right at the intersection of 275th, 270th Street and Wheat Avenue. It's moving also towards Milton right now, just across the county line into Van Buren. These storms moving to the northeast at around 25 miles an hour, so a little bit slow. And eventually will cross the state highway into just off to the northeast and eventually go into Van Buren County. So if you're living along Wheat Avenue, 270th Street, 275th Street, 285th Street, you're basically right, it's right on top of you right now, at least according to the rotation. 290th Street, it's just to the west of you, and it's traveling more towards the northeast. So this rotation went straight over Wineta, and I'm going to try and get a little bit of an extra detail, see what the National Weather Service is trying to see. Yeah, they're just talking about the expiration of that one warning that was for both Appanoose and parts of western Davis County. They've since expired that warning. So right now, 2 tornado warnings in Davis County. One's about to move into Van Buren County in the southeast corner. The other one, excuse me, is just to the east of Bloomfield, moving towards the northeast just a little bit, and it's just to the south of Drakesville. So if you are directly south of Drakesville, it's actually going to move very close. It's actually starting to tighten up just a little bit again. 195th Street, 200th Street, Jade Avenue, and Jaguar Trail. This storm's about to get right on top of you. So if you are going to be in that, if you are anywhere near that area, just get into cover right now because it's basically on top of you. And eventually it'll start moving its way to the northeast. So State Avenue, 273, 170th Street, Belknap, you're basically in the path of this as well. Once again, these storms are moving at around 25 to 30 miles an hour off towards the northeast. And there's the 2 tornado warnings are in Davis County, and I'm still not seeing any sort of information from the National Weather Service whether they have any spotters on the ground and they can relay some information. Yeah, just take the safety tip graphic because I'm going to try and get a little bit more information on these. So if my voice suddenly stops, that means I'm trying to type something out and like send out some notifications to people within the area. Anyway, we have 2 tornado warnings in Davis County, one to the southeast corner, right in the southeast in between Wineta and Milton, and one just to the east of Bloomfield. And so it's a little bit of an interesting situation. These storms are developing basically right on the northeast corner of a low pressure system in Kansas. And that's kind of right where at least some deep layer shear is a little bit more maximized, although the National Weather Service initially was a little bit concerned about some of the available energy that some of these storms are going to latch onto. But it seems that these 2 in Davis County are certainly consuming quite a bit of it. Storm just to the east of just to the west of Bloomfield. Basically moving right in between Drakesville and Bloomfield. It's kind of broadened out a little bit. I mean, it's seen some little more centers of rotation. There's one just right in between 210th and 200th Street. Another one kind of just about to cross into Jade Avenue. So it's got some interesting characteristics to it. So we're basically going to act like this one potentially is producing a tornado right now. So if you are off to the northeast of Drakesville and Bloomfield, it'll be very, very wise. If you're in Belknap and anywhere in between Belknap and Bloomfield, it'll be wise to start getting into your safe space right now. And of course, further off to the northeast as well, start to take your precautions right now. If you are in Flores, start taking your safety precautions right now as well. Just down to the southeast, and there you see, and actually they finally extended it into Van Buren County. So if you're in Cantrell, Lebanon, Milton as well, anywhere in between those 3 towns, we're starting to get a little bit of a tighter rotation right along Wheat Avenue. That thing is moving to the northeast. It's just barely looks like it's barely going to clip Milton right now where that rotation is. It's about to cross State Highway 2 and head into Van Buren County. Let me get some of the notifications done. Okay, I was told by production, and I can actually see the sky cams from where I'm at, that everything is just too dark to actually see anything besides a whole bunch of lightning out there. And it seems like I'm getting a little bit swamped at the moment, so I'm curious. Production, do you think you can call in Trey here for a second, please? So I'm going to call in our 10 o'clock anchor to at least help me with at least some of the notifications out there. So we got two tornado warnings, two prime tornado warnings right now. This one showing a little bit tighter rotations, about to cross into the county line, Van Buren County line, could barely clip the northwest corner of Milton. This storm's moving to the northeast at around, do you think we could take the other computer, please? Thank you, sir. This is the one's moving to the northeast at around 25 to 30 miles an hour. So if you are anywhere near Milton, if you are in Milton, please take your safety precautions right now. If you are basically anywhere within the red shaded area of Van Buren County, Milton, Lebanon, as well as Cantrell, anywhere in between those three towns and a little bit further towards the northwest, once again 220th Street, be wise to get into your safe spaces right now. So dealing with two tornado warnings moving through Davis County. One of them is about to cross the county line. This one just to the west of just to the northwest of Bloomfield. That's actually been active for quite a bit, and it's starting. And of course, we're seeing a little bit better. It's trying to at least coagulate some of its rotation. You've seen just got the next scan in, just crossed Jaguar Drive, just to the northwest of Bloomfield, 198th Street into 190th Street. If you're anywhere near there, please take your safety precautions right now. It appears that parts of Drakesville got missed for the most part, seeing potentially a little bit of rotation, but it's starting to broaden out just a little bit. Obviously, Drakesville seeing potentially a little bit of hail out there with some of the purples and darker purples, as typically indicated of some decent sized hail. And as of right now, it appears that the main rotation is in between Jaguar Drive and 198th Street, moving to the northeast towards 190th Street, just to the northwest of Bloomfield. So if you are anywhere near that area, and especially off towards the northeast, so State Highway 273, there's Highway 63, excuse me, and 170th Street, 180th Street, just to the south of Belknap. Be wise to get into your safe spot right now. And all right. Okay. Yeah, so we're dealing with two storms. This one is just about to cross the county line, and that one is they're moving at kind of a similar pace as well. So this one, a little bit ago, the one to the northeast actually was showing a little bit better when it came to the rotation. Some of the reds and greens, of course, were butted up right up next to each other. This one might actually, it looks like it's about to go straight over Milton. And I just got word from the National Weather Service that they're still not really, they don't have any sort of other information, especially on the ground. So kind of wish we had some better ground information, but right now we're going to be working with what we have. So if you are in Milton, just inside Van Buren County and off towards the northeast, make sure to take your safety precautions right now, because this storm's about to go basically right over the top of you. So West Old Main Street, West Road, and also basically it's almost basically going to go right over Milton right now, at least where the reds and the greens are lining up. So if you are in Milton, please take your safety precautions right now. It's about to cross the state highway very soon. It's probably already crossed the highway right now. So we're just going to be waiting on our next scan. And it's just about to cross into Van Buren County as we speak. This one just to the northeast of Bloomfield is starting to broaden out at least a little bit, getting a little bit of a rotation just to the northwest of Bloomfield. Once again, that's kind of right in between Jaguar Trail and 198th Street, moving towards the northeast. And once again, there's the secondary scan. Still kind of messy, but of course you can clearly see some of those reds and greens kind of butted up right up next to each other. Yes, Trey?
Got something from Des Moines, northern warm storm between Breaksville and Bloomfield, showing broadening rotation. They're still watching.
Okay, that's what I'm seeing too. A little bit broader rotation. Like a couple of minutes ago, about 15, 20 minutes ago, it was a lot better when it comes to the rotation. So if you're just to the northeast of Bloomfield, of course, this storm is in between Drakesville. It's just clipping the northwest of Bloomfield, and it's about to cross the road. It's about to cross into 198th Street, 190th Street, State Highway 273, 195th Street, 190th Street, and other locations off towards the northeast. If you are anywhere near that, please take your safety precautions right now. And this one, it has just crossed into Van Buren County, and the rotation is actually completely over Milton right now. And at least it's thankfully a little bit broadened out for the most part, but still that rotation is directly over the town. It's moving to the northeast. I hope everyone in that town's in their safe spot. And if you are just to the northeast of Milton, please get to cover right now. 252nd Street, 240th Street, 230th Street, also along 220th Street, 235th Street, 252nd Street also. If you are living on those streets, start to take those safety precautions right now. And it looks like the situation's kind of getting a little bit, starting to get a little bit, at least, well, it's developed certainly something out there, at least in most of Davis County and now Van Buren County. And I'm actually going to go to our other computer, and I'm going to be checking out this other product that we have. It's our other product is our debris tracker, and of course we're not really seeing all that much when it comes to the correlation coefficient of these storms. And once again, that storm's actually kind of just to the, it's basically traveling just to the north of Bloomfield. That's actually where at least the broadened rotation is. It's at right around 198th Street, 190th Street, State Highway 273, about to get into 195th Street. It's just, the rotation's just to the north of Bloomfield, right in between. It's just to the north of Bloomfield, just south of Belknap as well. If you're in Chiquest, White Elm, or Flores, and any location in between those towns, be wise to get into your safe spot right now, and including you, Shunem, as well. So 160th Street, 170th. Once again, these storms are moving to the northeast at around 25 to 30 miles an hour. And our one just crossing into Van Buren County, still got some reds and greens basically right on top of each other, but at least thankfully some of it is starting, it has finally started to exit Milton right now, moving towards the northeast, moving towards Lebanon, 230th Street, 240th Street, 235th Street. So yeah, certainly a little bit of a situation developing within most of Davis County right now. So we're talking about two storms. The one to the north of Bloomfield has started to show some broad rotation as it was crossing the county line into Davis County. It was actually a lot tighter, and there was a lot more greens and reds butted up right up next to each other. And as of right now, thankfully, at least some part of it is starting to broaden out just a little bit. Once again, if you are in the red shaded areas, make sure to take those safety precautions, get into an interior room or closet, and also bring that weather radio with you as soon as possible. Have we got any other updates on those storms?
Nothing yet. Nothing that I see.
All right, let's kind of zoom out just a little bit temporarily here. Actually, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Macon, also for Macon County and parts of Sullivan County as well. So the tornado warnings are going to be the main focus right now, but just to the south of us, starting to see a line of some severe weather starting to roll in. But for the main focus right now, it is going to be these tornado warnings deep in southeast Iowa and Davis County, as well as one in Van Buren County. Right now, the one in Van Buren County is basically finished going through Milton right now. Starting to see at least a little bit of a tighter rotation. There's some brighter reds, or at least bright greens, and a little bit of darker shade of reds. Once again, the storm is moving to the northeast at around 25 to 30 miles an hour out there. And so, like, these storms are latching onto something. There's some little bit of a deep layer shear in this environment just on the northeast sector of this low pressure system that's centered mainly in parts of Kansas. And there was a little bit of a concern about potential energy the storms would latch onto, but obviously some of these storms don't have exactly a problem working in this environment right now. Thankfully, the rotation has left Milton. It's moving to the northeast, so 240th Street, 230th Street, 235th Street, and eventually Lebanon. You are next in line for this storm to roll through into your area and further off towards the northeast. So if you are anywhere in between Milton and Lebanon, please take your safety precautions right now. And we're going to go back up to the one just near Bloomfield.
Hate to cut in. Southeastern Davis County, that tornado warning has been canceled.
Yes. So yeah, southeastern. So yeah, thankfully the one that just was the storm that was just in here, that tornado warning has been canceled. Wineta, you are basically in the clear. Pulaski, you're also in the clear as well. So thankfully, well, at least this one, and just to the north of Bloomfield, thankfully the rotation has certainly broadened out quite a bit. We're still going to be dealing with potentially quite a bit of hail, and actually a little bit of hail starting to work its way through Bloomfield. Belknap, seeing some hail as well with those purples. We're not really concerned with the hail as of right now. We're mainly concerned with some of the rotation, but thankfully it has started to broaden out quite a bit. And it has just crossed the highway just south of Belknap, working its way into 160th, 168th Street, 190th Street. It's actually just to the northwest of 190th. And both of these storms are moving at around 25 to 30 miles an hour out there. And actually the one towards the south, but we're going to go back to the one, newest scan actually, and that's showing a little bit of concern now. Just crossed over Milton. Now we're seeing very bright greens butted up right up against some reds. So certainly starting to tighten up. It's right around 240th Street near Deer Avenue, 230th Street, 235th Street. the Titan rotation is starting to work its way into your area right now. And I'm going to switch over to our other computer and see if we got a little bit better of our debris tracker, showing not much going on. If there was a tornado lofting debris up, certainly start to see it with those, it would be basically just a circle of either very bright greens or blues. And as right now, not seeing all that much, but then again, this radar beam is about several thousand feet up, so we're not getting the full picture, but we're going to be acting like there is something on the ground right now. So if you are in Lebanon, please take your safety precautions right now. It is just crossing 240th Street into Deer Avenue, 230th, 235th Street, intersecting with Deer Avenue, and up to the northeast towards Lebanon. So please take those safety precautions right now. And I'll just briefly take a look over at one just to the north of Bloomfield. Obviously, excuse me?
Sorry, we have updates. No reports from either tornado warned storm in Davis. Warning for the storm in Van Buren County has been canceled, and rotation is really weakening on the one north of Bloomfield.
Okay, well, the rotation is really weakening on the storm north of Bloomfield, and I'm seeing that have canceled.
So the one
that's
canceled.
That's a little bit interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, in between Milton and Lebanon, at least on this radar picture, it's still starting to still have some greens and reds butted up right up next to each other. And it's a pretty tight corridor right along 240th Street. And okay, there's the next scan. Now it's starting to look a little bit less impressive now. Man, a couple of scans ago it was starting to tighten up quite a bit, but also, so yeah, thankfully both of these storms are starting to broaden up their rotation, thankfully. And that is certainly a good thing. The one in Davis County, just to the north of Bloomfield, starting to broaden up, but just in case, we're right along State Highway 273, 160th Street, going towards 168th Street, Pearl Avenue, towards Flores, County Highway J17, so further up to the northeast, Silver Trail, anywhere in between those areas. Start to take those safety precautions right now, and it is just about 23 seconds after 10:10. This warning right now is going to expire at around 10:30 unless specified otherwise. And the one in Van Buren County will expire at around 10:30. So be interesting to know what they are trying to see. We'll just keep things monitored up until that point. And we'll also have some severe thunderstorm warnings starting to work their way into Macon County from the south. So thankfully those are severe thunderstorm warnings, and those will go until 10:45 p.m. But our main focus right now are these tornado warnings for Van Buren County and also Davis County. Several scans ago, looks like they finally tightened up the box just a little bit. Cantrell, you are now in the clear. Milton is basically almost in the clear as of right now. That storm has basically passed by you. Excuse me. And once again, that rotation, it is starting to broaden out, thankfully, but still got some brighter greens kind of butted up against some reds. And the storm's moving to the northeast at around 25 to 30 miles an hour. Pittsburgh, you're also in the line of this storm. So anywhere in between Lebanon and Pittsburgh, and just to the south of Lebanon, you are also in the line. So make sure to take those safety precautions right now. Bring that weather radio with you, the mattress, the towels, have a pair of shoes, a helmet, that sort of thing. We'll pull up the graphic when we mention that, and there you see, make sure to follow those steps. The one in Davis County is certainly continuing to broaden out. Thankfully, that's good news for everyone in this particular tornado warning. Once again, this is the warning just to the north of Bloomfield. This is more in Davis County. And thankfully, that rotation is certainly broadened out quite a bit, thankfully. And anyway, it's still moving to the northeast at around 25 to 30 miles an hour towards Flores, up towards Silver Trail, 168th Street, Pearl Avenue. And around 30 minutes ago was a lot more impressive, but now it's starting to not look that impressive. One just to the south, one to the southeast, excuse me, in Van Buren County, starting to see a little bit of a tighten up right there. I mean, if you actually look where the rotation is relative to the reflectivity, that rotation is buried deep within that reflectivity. So despite it, even though it is nighttime, you will certainly not even see it, and it's probably rain wrapped if there is a tornado ongoing. And right now our debris tracker isn't showing anything, at least on this level. Could be a little bit different closer to the surface. And anyway, this rotation's moving to the northeast towards Lebanon, towards County Road J40, 250th Street, 195th Street, RTE, Route J40 towards Pittsburgh. So if you are in between Lebanon and Pittsburgh, make sure to take those safety precautions right now. Hey Trey, have we have any other updates on?
Yeah, we have something, though unofficial. A father of a volunteer firefighter in Cantrell said his son's pager had a report of a supposed sighting of a tornado near Pulaski moving northeast, so that's in Davis County. No confirmations of that report.
Okay, so that was in Davis County. How long ago was that?
Just a few minutes ago.
Pulaski.
About 10:10. I don't believe, we still haven't heard any confirmation of that. I've been looking around to see if we could find any reports of it. Nothing yet.
Could you quickly do a location search on where Pulaski is? I'm trying to remember if that's just to the west of Bloomfield. Anyway, that storm in Davis County, the rotation has certainly broadened up quite a bit, thankfully. The one I believe we're mainly going to be focusing on right now is the one in Van Buren County, at least showing a little bit better rotation, but it has some instances of broadening out quite a bit and then retightening. And oh yeah, Pulaski, there it is. I actually see it. It's in between Bloomfield and Milton, so a little bit of a strange location to be seeing one. And then that report came from, I assume the spotter was not trained, but could you repeat what the report said, please?
So it was, let's see, a volunteer firefighter in Cantrell. On their pager, let's see, received supposed sighting of a tornado near Pulaski moving northeast. No confirmations. Also, I just got another update from the National Weather Service monitoring two other weaker storms, northwestern Appanoose and eastern Wayne. I think that's a little, that may be
I think it's
out.
these two. Yeah, well, the one in Appanoose, that's the one just north of Centerville, and I'm monitoring, obviously, these two. At least starting to see a little bit of rotation with them, but we'll get back to them if they end up becoming tornado warned. But right now, we're just going to be mainly focusing on these two storms, one in Davis. Thankfully, that the rotation is certainly broadening out quite a bit, starting to put down some localized heavy rainfall and some small diameter hail potentially. The one that's moving into Van Buren County, the smaller one, is still showing at least some level of rotation. It is just to the west of Keosauqua. It's moving towards Pittsburgh right now. The rotation is just near Lebanon. It looks like the strongest part of it is just to the southeast. And this storm is moving basically towards Pittsburgh or near Pittsburgh. So if you're in County Road J40, 210th Street, 205th Street, and also along, well, Heather Avenue now, at least with the newer scan, is starting to show, at least the storm just it keeps trying to at least consolidate something. It's showing some broaden out, and then it tightens up again, at least in some areas. And there was if you're just tuning in, there was an unconfirmed report of a potential tornado near Pulaski, and that was moving to the northeast. So potentially it was with this storm in particular moving into Van Buren County. And that one is at least starting to see some rotational signs, still kind of broaden out, but at least the brighter colors are starting to move in towards Heather Avenue, towards County Highway J40, off towards the northeast, towards Pittsburgh, and it's just to the west of Keosauqua. So if you are in Keosauqua, I would suggest start taking some of those safety precautions unless the National Weather Service deems this storm no longer worthy of a tornado warning. And seeing as how it keeps on trying, we're going to have to wait and see. And the warning box for the Davis County storm has been shrunken. So Bloomfield, you are now in the clear. Drakesville, Belknap, you're basically in the clear too. And Shunem, that storm's just going to pass to the north of you. And rotation with that storm is certainly broadened out quite a bit. And I'm pretty sure the National Weather Service, there's a possibility they're going to let that one expire. And the one in Van Buren County, it's trying again to consolidate something. Now we're seeing more of those reds and greens butted up right up next to each other. It's certainly trying, and it's actually just to the southwest of Keosauqua. It's just near the river. It's right along the intersection of Heather Avenue and 235th Street. So if you're in Pittsburgh, Keosauqua, be certainly wise to get into your safe space right now, into your room, closet. Make sure to bring that weather radio with you. Have those mattresses. I'm sure we'll pull up the graphics here to show your option, show what you're supposed to do during a tornado warning, and make sure to read that list very carefully and quickly, and make sure to act upon the things that are being shown.
Hagen?
Yes, sir?
So it looks like National Weather Service pretty much confirmed what you were saying earlier. If there's no re-intensification of that one traveling northeast in Davis County, they're planning to let the tornado warning expire in the next 10 minutes. Okay, so that'll be a good thing for Davis County, and I am certainly seeing what they are saying as well. The rotation is pretty broadened out, and probably maybe getting some destructive interference from this other storm in between the two tornado warned storms. But this one's going to be the main area of focus. Also want to mention we do have a severe thunderstorm warning moving into Macon County right now, mainly due to some potential damaging winds with that storm, some hail as well. And that rotation is working. It's, as of right now, this scan, it's right along the intersection of Heather Avenue and 235th Street. It's moving into County Road J40, and soon be over County Road J40 and then Route J40, Eagle Drive, Pittsburgh, and Keosauqua. It's about to move into your area as well. So if you are in Keosauqua, please get to cover right now, because the storm is basically about to be right on top of you. And I'm still waiting, still probably going to wait to see if they're going to extend this tornado warning possible. No word yet.
And as of right now, no word yet, but at least in the upper levels of this storm, I'm starting to see some better, a little bit more consolidated rotation, at least in that scan. And now starting to see a little bit less when it comes to the colors, but still kind of butted up right up next to each other right along County Highway J40, soon be into Route J40, just south of 205th Street, moving towards Pittsburgh, just to the west of Keosauqua. Basically, it's moved over Heather Avenue just to the north of 235th Street. And I'm still not seeing all that much in the debris tracker. It's probably going to be... So it's probably, if there is stuff, and there you go. Now we've extended the warning with this storm. Now Keosauqua, I've been mentioning that for a little bit now. Now it seems to have happened. The tornado warning has been extended, and now it's until 11 p.m. It's moving towards Mount Zion, so Benton, Sport, Pierceville, as well as Winchester. If you are anywhere in those towns, anywhere in between those towns, start to take those safety precautions right now. This one particular storm probably had a confirmed tornado several minutes ago, although it was an unconfirmed report from a volunteer firefighter. So we're basically going to act like potentially something is on the ground. And by the way, I would like to mention Milton, Cantrell, and Milton and Cantrell. I'm pretty sure this warning box will be expired here very soon. You're pretty much in the clear. But the one in the line is Pittsburgh, Keosauqua, Mount Zion, and further up to the northeast. So it's just crossed County Road J40, 205th Street towards Route J40, excuse me. And have we seen any other updates at all, or is it still, they're still waiting?
Seems like they're still waiting.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I will like to mention this rotation is buried pretty deep, at least in this scan, within the storm itself, within the reflectivity values. So not only is it in the middle of night, it's also probably completely rain wrapped. So you are most certainly not going to be seeing it at all. So pretty sure just don't bother even trying to look at it. Just go into your safe spot right now. Just go into an interior room, closet, interior bathroom. Make sure to, of course, follow all the things that are listed there, and make sure to bring that weather radio with you to get the latest updates on that particular storm. Right, as of right now, the one in Davis County, that storm is certainly starting to weaken greatly. There is basically no sort of velocity couplet, no reds and greens butted up next to each other, and the National Weather Service is planning on letting this tornado warning expire right at 10:30. So our main focus right now is this one in Van Buren County, and it is about to enter into Pittsburgh. It's probably a couple of scans away, and if you are in Pittsburgh, please be in cover right now. We're starting to get those reds and greens kind of butted up right next to each other. It is just starting to move to the, also starting to move near Keosauqua too. So if you're in Keosauqua, please take cover right now. It's also about to cross the river as well, and will do so in the next couple of scans. So if you're on County Highway J40, 215th Street, excuse me, Broad Street, State Highway 1, 195th Street, Eagle Drive, State Highway 1, further up to the northeast, please take cover right now. And still not seeing all that much when it comes to the potential debris, but starting to see a little bit of brighter colors, at least where that velocity couplet is. And that, of course, could be a little bit of hail interference potentially, but the positioning of that's a little bit suspect. Anyway, this storm's moving, I mean, certainly getting some brighter colors right now. County Road J40, it's almost directly over Pittsburgh, and it's almost near Keosauqua too. So please be in your safe spot right now, because this storm is about to go right on top of you potentially. And if you're on 215th Street, County Highway J40, Broad Street, State Highway 1, 195th Street, Maple Avenue, Eagle Drive, State Highway 1, 195th Street, Jersey Avenue, 205th Street, and all the way up towards Mount Zion. Certainly start to take those safety precautions right now, because it's starting to tighten up when it comes to some of that rotation. Have we seen any updates from the National Weather Service on this particular storm?
Nothing yet, Hagen. It's all last I'm seeing is that 1022 ping that they were going to continue the tornado warning in Van Buren.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's till 10:45.
Okay.
I believe, right? Yeah. Nope, not seeing that. But there's still a tornado warning issued in Van Buren County for that storm that we're watching. Nothing yet from the one in Davis County, but you mentioned you saw it weakening. I do have.
Yeah, I mean, like with those velocity couplets, that's very concerning with the greens and the reds basically butted up right up next to each other. We still have, of course, just to our south in parts of northeast Missouri, that severe thunderstorm warning is starting to work its way in. And these things moving at around 25 miles an hour, so it's kind of slow moving. And I wonder if we're getting a little bit better. I mean, might still be getting some interference in that, but that's certainly some bright colors right up next to each other, and it's about to go straight into potentially Pittsburgh right now, or just maybe go right in between them. So if you are on County Road, living on County Highway J40, State Highway 1, please be in your safe spot right now. Same thing with 215th Street. If you're in Pittsburgh, Keosauqua, all around Keosauqua, just get to cover right now, because starting to see some tightening up out there. And of course, with the reflectivity values that are being shown and with the velocity couplet, it appears that it's now it looks like the main couplet is starting to maybe split the uprights with Pittsburgh and Keosauqua, but still, and if you're in Pittsburgh, Keosauqua, please stay in cover until this storm is way past you. State Highway 1, you're next. Maple Avenue, you're next. It might actually, by the way, this might actually clip just the northern part of Keosauqua heading into Broad Street.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
So first one to confirm, as of now, the tornado warning for Davis County should be expiring as planned. As far as the one in Van Buren moving towards Keosauqua, no words on any confirmation of a tornado. Circulation is still very strong, and as you mentioned, it's still looking like it could be possible for a tornado, though on the lower end.
Yeah, I mean, that rotation is certainly pretty tight out there. Very bright greens, got at least some bright reds, at least some brighter reds, excuse me, kind of right next to each other. They are basically right in between. It's majority of it's basically right in between Pittsburgh and Keosauqua, but I'm pretty sure it's might clip the northern half of Keosauqua heading to the northeast. State Highway 1, 195th Street, Maple Avenue, 205th Street, State Highway 1, Hawk, and eventually Hawk Drive. And not seeing any sort of, at least not any sort of like clear debris signature where it would show like some greens and definitely some blues. If it is lofting a whole bunch of debris up into the atmosphere, we will certainly see it. It would be basically a bright blue ball. And as of right now, not seeing any, but it's starting to, starting to see, at least in the upper levels, actually seeing a little bit of a reflectivity hole right where that velocity couplet is, and that's certainly indicative of some pretty strong rotation.
That tornado warning, by the way, has been extended until 11
Yes.
for Van Buren County.
Yes. Right now, this tornado warning is moving basically directly over Keosauqua, parts of Pittsburgh, State Highway 1, Maple Avenue, 205th Street. You are probably not seeing it because it's probably heavily rain wrapped, and of course it's in the middle of night where it's certainly not advisable to go out looking for this, and nighttime tornadoes are certainly the most dangerous tornadoes to exist, because certainly you cannot see them, and with this it's rain wrapped and you will not see it regardless. And I am seeing an additional, it's not a tornado warning, but it's a more severe thunderstorm warnings for Adair County that will expire in around 41 minutes. So the line of thunderstorms is moving in from the south, and that's mainly going to be potentially a damaging wind threat. So we're mainly going to be focused on this tornado warning right now, but remember, just to the south and parts of northeast Missouri, we're dealing with some severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently moving into Macon County and eventually will be in Adair County and parts of southeastern Sullivan County. And once again, this tornado warning is, at least thankfully, the rotation is just, at least the big rotation is just to the north of Keosauqua. It looks like it's just barely split the uprights. But if you're still in Keosauqua, Pittsburgh, please stay in cover until the all clear is given. Right now it is starting to work into State Highway 1, 195th Street, Maple Avenue, 205th, parts of 205th Street. Looks like there's even a little bit of a neighborhood right there. It just went over. And as of right now, like the debris tracker, still pretty hard to tell if it's actually debris being lofted up or it's getting a little bit of hail interference, but that's where the tightest rotation is, just to the north of Keosauqua, moving into State Highway 1, 195th Street, State Highway 1, moving towards Mount Zion. So if you are in Mount Zion, please get to cover immediately. And along Hawk Drive as well, 180th Street. It's almost going to parallel the river all the way up until Mount Zion. And if you're also in Peach Avenue, 170th Street, also start taking your precautions right now, because this storm is moving basically directly at you at around 25 to 30 miles an hour. Once again, this tornado warning will last until 11 p.m. or when the National Weather Service decides to extend it or remove it if it's no longer applicable. Right now, that rotation is pretty much square in the middle of that reflectivity, and you will not be able to see it, not with this darkness, and certainly not when the rain is basically covering it, and not even lightning flashes will be able to, you will be able to determine it. So we're basically going to be relying on mainly velocity and this other product that's called the correlation coefficient, that just compares different particles with one another. Very jagged, very uneven particles will show up basically greens and blues. Particles that are very similar will mainly be darker reds and purples. And I'm starting to see a little bit of course, the hail interference. That's mainly, and it forms these what are known as hail spikes in the debris, the correlation coefficient. And it usually looks like this. So if we go to reflectivity, there you see mainly the hail core just to the west of Mount Zion. That's kind of interfering with this. But if it is lofting debris pretty high up, you'll actually see it as mainly a ball. It'll be usually green, blue, or even a darker shade of color, a darker shade of blue. And right now, that the main center of that rotation is moving just to the north of Keosauqua, moving almost right along State Highway 1 towards 195th Street, State Highway 1 towards Mount Zion, Hawk Drive, 180th Street, and eventually 170th Street. Kilbourne, you're just outside of the warning box, but please take your safety precautions if you are near there. Once again, to reiterate, you will not be able to see this, not how dark everything is, and also how the fact that the rotation is buried pretty deep inside of the reflectivity values. And this is mainly the center of rotations, probably actually starting to slide a little bit more towards the east. So it just crossed Maple Avenue, it's basically right just to the north of 205th Street, moving towards Hawk Drive. It's probably might hit the river one more time, heading towards Peach Avenue, 180th, and eventually 170th Street. Do we have any further updates on?
Nothing yet. No further updates. Just the last thing about the tornado warning continuing.
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything else yet.
So eventually, if you're going to be in like Stockport, that's going to be right at 11, and pretty much all the county roads, streets, anywhere in between where that is, start taking those precautions right now. I'm kind of cluttering up the screen just a little bit. Anyway, yeah, just this thing is certainly had some tight rotation associated with it. And it's just past to the north of Keosauqua. It's moving to the northeast at around 25 miles an hour or so. So if you are in like Pierceville, Utica, Mount Zion, Stockport, basically anywhere in between, certainly start to take those safety precautions. And kind of want to do another. So far, this is the only tornado warning active for the parts of southeast Iowa and northeast Missouri. We have those severe thunderstorm warnings down to the south. They're starting to moving through Macon County right now, and eventually we'll be into Adair County here pretty soon. So eventually you'll start to hear a bunch of lightning and thunder inside of our studio.
Speaking of those storms, I have something from the National Weather Service in St. Louis that monitoring those storms that are now in Macon County and into northeast Missouri. If you want to come here and take a look at it, I can remind people of some of those safety precautions who are in southeast Iowa. Can we bring up the precautions, the tornado warning graphic with the safety precautions production? Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so best thing to do in the case of a tornado warning is take shelter in a basement or your innermost room. Avoid windows and get to the lowest floor of your home. Take pillows, blankets, mattresses, padded surfaces, helmets, battery-powered weather radios, different ways to stay up to date and stay protected. Again, lowest level, basement, innermost room, avoiding windows, and taking padded surfaces, pillows, blankets, mattresses to protect yourself.
Yeah, those severe thunderstorms down to the south and northeast that are moving through northeast Missouri, could see some pretty gusty winds with those storms. Might see it actually turn into a bow echo as it traverses all the way up towards the northeast. So keep that in mind as well. But our main focus still is this tornado warning storm that's in Van Buren County, and it's just went through, or just basically went in between Pittsburgh and Keosauqua, probably clipped the northern port of Keosauqua. And Pittsburgh, you were almost out of the warning block. Keosauqua, you're pretty much next. Most of the storm has, or at least most of it has finished its path all the way through you. But once the tornado warning is no longer in your area, then you are in the all clear. And once again, it is still trying to at least consolidate something. We had some bright greens and bright reds butted up right up next to each other as it went through Pittsburgh and Keosauqua. Right now, it is basically traveling right along the river, right in between, well, at least between both parts of the river, moving in towards Hawk Drive and the 180th Peach Avenue intersection. And it's continuing its move off towards kind of the east-northeast now. And so Pierceville, Utica, you can start taking your safety precautions right now, as mentioned earlier. And still not seeing all that much on the correlation coefficient where the velocity couplet is. It's basically right on the apex of the meander of this river. It's just to the north of 250th, in between Hawk Drive and 250th, and it's about to cross Hawk Drive towards the 180th Street Peach Avenue intersection. Once again, the storm's moving to the northeast at around 25 to 30 miles an hour, and eventually will be near Pierceville. Probably seeing some decent hail associated with this as well, especially near Mount Zion. That's where some of those purple and darker purple reflectivities were. And of course, the hail is kind of interfering with the debris tracker that we're using. Excuse me. Occasionally, if you have a big enough hail core, you get these hail spikes in the debris tracker. But how to tell if it's actually debris and not hail is if it shows up as a ball of bright green or bright or blue or some darker colors in the shade of blue. And that indicates that the correlation of different particles within that area they're basically not the same. And warmer colors typically indicate particles that are very similar. Right now, the main center of that rotation is just crossing Hawk Drive, about to go into the Peach Avenue 180th Street intersection here very soon. If you are living along those streets, 180th Street towards Pierceville, 170th along Peach Avenue, make sure to take your safety precautions right now because it's about to cross Peach Avenue here very, very soon and into 180th Street. Keosauqua and Pittsburgh, you are now out of the tornado warning box. You are in the clear. And also the streets that are just to the north of that as well. So parts of State Highway 1, 195th Street, Maple Avenue, and parts of 205th Street. So we're mainly going to be focused right on here where those greens and reds are basically butted up next to each other, and you'll certainly not see it because it's basically embedded within a huge blob of reflectivity. And seeing as how it's almost 10:46 p.m., you will certainly not be seeing it at all, so don't even bother trying to go out and look for it. Starting to get potentially a little bit of some broadening out there. Starting to get getting some interruptions in the data, so kind of have to work with what we've got. This is moving to the northeast, so Hawk Drive, Peach Avenue, 180th Street, heading towards Peach Avenue, 180th Street. Soon it'll be at around 170th Street, towards Pierceville, and then eventually Utica. Storm is, and once again, this tornado warning is expected to expire at around 11 p.m. or whenever the National Weather Service deems it worthy of an extension, or when the storm no longer seems to pose any sort of tornado risk at all, and that usually indicates, or that's usually indicative of these reds and greens separating from each other for quite a bit of distance and also quite a bit of time. But right now, seeing as how the reds and greens are butted up next to each other and had a potential, although unconfirmed, report of a tornado about approximately 30 minutes ago, and almost a different county with this with this associated storm. We're going to be waiting until it's basically completely unworthy of a additional tornado warning. Perhaps finally starting to see maybe a little bit of some separation, at least here. Starting to get maybe a little bit right there as well. Kind of on the south end towards Hawk Drive, kind of on the southern edge of this warning box. Once again, this storm is moving to the northeast at around 25 miles an hour. And as of right now, it is the only tornado warning within southeast Iowa. And those counties in northeast Missouri that have the severe thunderstorm warning, mainly Adair County, that's mainly going to be a damaging wind threat and potentially a little bit of hail as well. And that severe thunderstorm warning will expire at around 11:15 p.m. But once again, we're mainly going to be focused on this particular storm as it is a tornado warned storm. And it just went through basically the uprights in between Keosauqua and Pittsburgh. But those towns are in the clear right now. Pierceville and Utica, you are basically next. And right now, seems like most of the rotation is kind of broaden out a little bit. There's one right here and another a little bit right here. Kind of wait for the next scan to come through. It's starting to become a little bit of a mess now, getting some data interference potentially. And we're starting to hear a little bit of that thunder from those storms just to our south, moving into parts of Adair County right now.
This is estimating about 50-mile-an-hour winds hitting southwest Knox County and extreme northwest Shelby County. So that area, that's technically sub-severe winds, but still pretty close.
Yeah, so gusty winds, probably some small diameter hail also, and some localized heavy rainfall. So yeah, over the past couple of hours, a little bit of a situation has developed. We had a couple of tornado warnings in southeast Iowa. Of course, it's 2 in Davis County, but one has made it to kind of the middle of Van Buren County. And thankfully, at least right now, the rotation has broadened out considerably. And it's moving in towards Pierceville right now. So if you're in Pierceville, please take your safety precautions right now. It's basically moved over Hawk Drive, Pine Trail, Peach Avenue. It's moving towards State Highway 16, Utica, 165th Street, 170th Street, 190th Street, and also 200th Street. And thankfully right now it's starting to look quite a bit messy. So maybe we'll hear something soon on the status of this tornado warning here pretty soon. So far as of right now, this is the only tornado warning still in southeast Iowa. Briefly take a look off of that. And the other, at least the other storms the National Weather Service in Des Moines was looking at was this one just to the southeast of Albia. That had some signs of rotation, but still it's pretty broad. But we're mainly going to be focused on this one out there. So make sure to continue to stay weather aware throughout the rest of the evening and into the nighttime hours. Certainly a little bit of a volatile situation has developed over the past couple of hours. We'll certainly see what changes in the next couple of hours as well. Right now, that storm is moving through Mount Zion. Mount Zion's almost on the edge of the warning box right now. Once again, reiterate, Pittsburgh and Keosauqua are out of the warning box, so you're in the clear. Mount Zion, I'm pretty sure you'll soon be in the clear very, very soon, although the reflectivity clearly shows it's well past you. And still, now the velocity is starting to appear quite a bit messy now. About a little over 30 plus minutes ago, it was way more defined as it moved into Pittsburgh and Keosauqua. So good news all around there. And it's almost 10:52 and 30 seconds. It's moving in towards Pierceville right now. Probably seeing still some hail with that, but at least right now, most of the rotation has mostly broadened out and become very, very messy. So that is certainly a good sign out there. Do we have any other additional information?
I have something from Northeast Missouri. Nothing yet in Van Buren County. Supposedly, there's some people in Macon County who may be without electricity with some of those severe thunderstorms rolling through. Can't confirm that yet, working too.
Okay. Yeah, and some pretty gusty winds moving in through with those severe thunderstorm warnings in Macon and soon Adair County. So that line is that line of thunderstorms is just about to roll into Kirksville right now. And back on this tornado warning in Van Buren County, it will expire at around 11 p.m. So in the next several minutes. And right now, certainly a lot of broad rotation, thankfully. So it's starting to look very, very messy. It's not as buff as it was at least 30 minutes ago. But we'll continue to monitor it for right now and may try something out of pocket. And right now, it's starting to get a little bit better rotation, actually, just to the northwest of Pierceville. Like maybe trying something again, and it's could move in between Utica and Pierceville. So once again, if you are in those areas, make sure to stay. Of course, to wear, avoid windows, take that battery-powered radio with you, pillows, blankets, mattresses, and etc. to protect yourself, and get in if you have a basement, get in there, interior room, an interior closet, interior bathroom, get in there right now. Several scans ago, the rotation on this storm was pretty broad. Now I'm starting to see a little bit of a tightening going on just in between Utica and Pierceville. Basically in between 180th and 170th Street. So it'll eventually move into parts of State Highway 16 and eventually Teal Avenue, 165th Street, State Highway 6. I already mentioned State Highway 16. We could see it go into 155th Street. But we'll have to wait and see if they decide to extend the warning a little bit further. And so potential future arrivals could be Hillsborough, 130th Street, 140th Street, Willow Avenue, 120th Street, further up to the northeast, and once again, this next scan starting to show once again the rotation broadening out again. Any additional information?
So I have some power outage information. The Association of Missouri Electric Cooperatives is reporting around 530 consumers are without power right now in Macon County. No information on our other Northeast Missouri counties. As far as Southeast Iowa, from their cooperatives, in Van Buren, we're not seeing any outages, but Davis is dealing with very few, and Appanoose as well. So a little bit of power outages, but not much outside of Macon County.
All right. Thank you, sir. 180th Street, 170th Street, that's kind of where the center of that rotation is. Once again, starting to broaden out a little bit. Utica, in between Utica and Pierceville, towards Teal Avenue, 165th Street, State Highway 16, 155th Street, and eventually 150th Street. If we look at some of the other locations southeast Iowa, not really much is going on. I think they might actually be trying to extend that warning again. So it's almost 10:57. Let's see if they actually go ahead and try and extend them. And there you go. Extended the warning. Now it's 11:45 p.m. Further down the line, Mount Zion, you were in the clear, and so everywhere else in this next box, Stockport. Now the box is starting to get a little bit broadened out, starting to get a little bit of a deviant motion potentially with this storm. Harrisburg, you're just on the south edge of that box. Hillsborough in the neighbor county, also right on the edge of that, and all the way up to the north towards 110th Street, 115th Street, 120th Street, 130th Street, Willow Avenue, 140th Street. And right now it looks like the rotation's basically right in between Utica and Pierceville. And this rotation is buried deep within that reflectivity, so once again you are not going to be seeing any sort of this potential tornado at all. And once again, the correlation coefficient not exactly bearing fruit right now. Still potentially a little bit of some hail interference, but we're going to continue to act like this is a tornado producing storm right now. So this main rotation is starting to work its way in between Utica, Pierceville, State Highway 16, eventually 165th Street, 170th Street. Might see it go through Route W40 and eventually 140th Street. So the previous areas where we saw some of that rotation, Mount Zion, if you're in between Mount Zion and Pierceville, that storm is pretty much past you at this point. That tornado warning will soon expire. And that rotation is now basically centered directly over Utica right now. And a little bit of a hail core as well. Maybe something a little bit right there. That's a little bit suspect, but we're going to continue to act like this is currently producing a tornado because it's about on nearly 30 seconds till 11 o'clock. And that previous tornado warning that was a little bit deeper into Van Buren County, this one will expire at around that point, and soon it'll be just this box. So if you are just to the southwest of this storm, near Mount Zion, Hawk Drive, Peach Avenue, you're pretty much going to be in the clear for now. You're pretty much going to be in the clear. That rotation is directly on Utica right now, and it's buried deep within that reflectivity. And once again, still not seeing all that much when it comes to the correlation coefficient.
And Hagen, I have a little bit of an update. It's on the northeast Missouri side. We are continuing severe thunderstorm warnings and National Weather Services till 11:15 for all previous counties: Adair, Sullivan, Macon, excluding Lynn County. And for those in southeast Iowa, again, in Van Buren County, be sure to practice those safety precautions like a tornado is on the ground. That is getting to your lower basement, your lower level floors, your basement, avoiding windows, and taking with you padded surfaces, so blankets, mattresses, and wearing helmets. Take battery-powered devices, radios, weather radios to stay weather aware. Another way you can stay weather aware is sticking with us on your mobile devices, on KTVO and KHQA.com, and as well as downloading our weather apps. We will be sending notifications out as we have this evening. And
okay, if we can go back to the monitor here for a second. Rotations now start to broaden out because we keep on getting a little bit of, like, it tries to tighten up somewhat, it does, and then it immediately broadens out just a little bit. And right now we're starting to get that those storms in Kirksville right now, so that probably going to see, if we got some power outages in Macon County, probably going to see some in Adair County here pretty soon. But we're going to still keep our eyes on this tornado warned storm in Van Buren County that will begin to expire at around 11:45 p.m. or whenever the National Weather Service office as of right now, it's in Van Buren County, so it should be mainly the Quad Cities office will be the one that'll be taking over warnings for this storm.
Still nothing yet from them.
Yeah, we're still, and it's going to be pretty hard to tell what exactly is going on, seeing as how that rotation is buried deep within that reflectivity, and it's been broadening out, tightening up, broadening out, it's continuing to cycle over and over again, like it's trying, it really wants to do something, but somehow certain time, whether it's the timing of it, certain ingredients aren't exactly there. But we have not seen or have not heard of any other damage reports in the wake of this storm. Any sort of any sort of like law enforcement notifications on that?
Nothing yet.
I figured would have heard something by now, but we'll continue to wait and see. We're still going to act like this storm is currently producing we're going to still act like this storm is currently producing a tornado, even though the rotation's going to be a little bit broadened out. It's basically, at least the center of it's kind of right along Teal Avenue, working its way towards State Highway 16, 155th Street, 165th Street, 150th Street, and eventually County Highway J20, and of course Route W40. So if you're in between Utica, Hillsborough, and Stockport, kind of within that triangle, it would be best to get into your safe spot right now and follow all those safety precautions we mentioned over the past couple of minutes. And eventually we could see it go all the way up to 120th Street, 110th, pretty sure that's 110th Street, Willow Road again. But anyway, the center of the rotation is right here just to the east of Utica. And it's continuing to broaden out and then tighten up for a little bit, then broaden out again. It's undergoing the cycle, and like it's certainly trying to do something. Right now, most of those storms in northeast Missouri are starting to work their way into Kirksville right now, and already seeing a whole bunch of heavy rain on our Kirksville Skycam.
Speaking of that storm, Sullivan County's warning has been canceled as it moves into the east, into Adair County.
All right, thank you, sir. And most of the, with the severe warned storm, most of the heavy rain is starting to work its way out of Macon right now, but still you're under a severe thunderstorm warning until then. And now, as I mention it, it's starting to tighten up again. It's still trying really, really hard, right in between State Highway 16 and 150th Street. And still not very well defined. Once again, we're kind of, well, I'm actually going to try and switch radar sites to our Davenport one, see if we get maybe a better picture. Oh, well, actually, this is a little bit better. Probably could have done this a couple of minutes ago, but yeah, that's a little bit of a textbook supercellular structure with the hook echo right here just to the northeast of Pierceville. So it's kind of right in the Utica, Pierceville, Harrisburg, Hillsborough area, and kind of seeing some of the rotation right there. But at least from the Davenport radar, most of that rotation is now actually starting to appear mainly in open air. We'll have to wait and see if we get another scan to come through. But this storm certainly has that shape to it of a typical supercell, where it's got that little bit of an appendage on the southwest corner. Usually that's where the updraft is. And on the Davenport radar, the correlation coefficient still is not bearing fruit in this situation. Still impossible. And also, some of that rotation, at least on this particular radar, a little bit up ahead, State Highway 16, right along the Route W40 intersection. But if we do take a look at where the reflectivity is, it's kind of off ahead of it, kind of in open air. So it's not embedded within any like of these reflectivity values. So it's a little bit strange, and we'll still continue to monitor the situation until they decide to change things. And there's the next scan, still kind of off ahead of it. The storm is moving to the northeast at around 25 to 30 miles an hour. And if you are anywhere near State Highway 16, Willow Avenue, County Highway J20, Hillsborough, if you are in Hillsborough, start taking your safety precautions right now. Ash Avenue, County Highway J20, 370th Street. Certainly got some rotation, but once again, I'll say it's kind of an open air. It's not actually embedded with any of these sort of reflectivity values. And correlation coefficient still kind of isn't seeing anything very much. Have any additional updates, sir?
Nothing yet. Currently trying to see if this storm will sustain farther east in the Henry County. Trying to find any damage reports. Not seeing anything. We're not hearing anything. And as far as power outages, we're sitting around the same. So still looking for updates.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So this storm is pretty much making its way directly into Hillsborough. Well, it's moving towards that way, and right now the rain is just starting to hit our studio. Right now I'm probably going to hear a whole bunch of it over the microphone, along with some thunder and lightning. But anyway, if you are still in Van Buren County, it's about to work its way into, hold on one second. It's starting to work its way into parts of Lee County and then eventually Henry County. So if you're in Hillsborough, eventually Salem, Denova. So anywhere in between those areas will start to be into your area very soon. But right now, main areas of focus, it's Route W40, State Highway 16, Hillsborough proper, Willow Avenue, Ash Avenue, Benton Avenue, and anywhere in between, like County Highway J20, start to take your safety precautions right now. And that's kind of the center of that, where that rotation is. And once again, still kind of off ahead of it. Still off ahead of where the actual reflectivity values are. So that's a little bit strange. But we're still going to be monitoring it until around 11:45, until they decide to either extend the warning heading into Henry or Lee County, or whether they're going to decide to disregard it. Starting to see a little bit less rotation out there as well. At least the main center of it is basically right along Willow Avenue, County Highway J20. It's moving right at that location. Eventually will be near Hillsborough, if not on top of it. Probably actually seeing a little bit of a reflectivity hole potentially developing right in the square of State Highway 16, Route W40, Willow Avenue, and Highway J20. Because that's actually right where some of that rotation is, so it'll be interesting to see if it decides to tighten up again, or if it will decide to dissipate. But we're going to continue to monitor, and I'm pretty sure the National Weather Service is certainly still monitoring the situation.
Yeah, nothing changing as far as that, but seeing wind gusts for the Kirksville area came in at about 40 miles an hour. Plan seems to be to let that severe thunderstorm warning just ride out for the next few minutes for most of the northeast Missouri area. Nothing changed, though, in Van Buren County, Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, certainly hear the, you could probably hear the rain over our microphones and some of the wind. And anyway, this storm is in Van Buren County, about to work its way into parts of Lee and potentially Henry County as well. So if we can once again bring up the safety precautions for dealing with tornado warning, and that would be great. There you go. Just avoid windows, take pillows, blankets, mattresses, etc. Protect yourself. Take the radio with you into those safety areas. Avoid windows, of course. And if you have a basement, please get into the basement or innermost room of the house, the lowest floor, interior room, closet, interior bathroom if you have one, if you don't have a basement.
Of course, you can also stay up to date anytime and stay with us in your safe locations by downloading our weather apps and watching us on Facebook and on our websites.
And if you do hear me stop talking for a little bit, that's either because I'm drinking water or I'm reading a mesoscale discussion on these particular storms that are moving through southeast Iowa right now, and trying to get a gauge of what the Storm Prediction Center is looking at. Certainly these storms have basically developed right along the northeast corner of a low pressure system off towards in parts of Kansas, and some of the upper vertical shear is pretty maximized, and certainly this particular storm is basically latched onto that, and that's kind of why we're continuing to see it getting tornado warned as it traverses its way across southeast Iowa, among other reasons. Right now it's about to enter into Henry or Lee County. You'll probably get to see an extension of this warning here very soon. County Highway J20, Ash Avenue, 370th Street. Benton Avenue, eventually 287th Street, 310th Street. And as right now, it's a couple seconds after 11:15, and this tornado warning is expected to expire around 11:45, and it's just about to cross the county line. So we'll see if the Davenport office decides to put a warning out for that area.
Henry County, just Quad Cities, National Weather Service, Henry County is now under that tornado warning.
Okay, yep, there it is. Could you happen to click into that and see how fast it's going? I'm pretty sure it's still going at around 25 miles an hour out there.
Looking now, we're seeing
it's moving northeast at around 20 miles an hour, 20 to 25. So it actually is kind of slowed down just a little bit. Anyway, if you're now in Henry County, this will go until midnight. So if you're in Hillsborough, Salem, and eventually you will get near Mount Pleasant. So it's kind of traveling towards Mount Pleasant right now, but anywhere in between Hillsborough, Mount Pleasant, and Salem, start to take those safety precautions as this storm is moving towards your direction. Man, this one storm in particular has certainly been a little bit of a weird one. It kept on trying to cycle multiple times. It had some broad rotation at one point, and then it broadened out a little bit as well, but it kept on doing that multiple times, and the rotation is just about to cross the county line right now towards Ashton Avenue, just barely grazing Hillsborough's northwestern side. Eventually will be parts of Okay, I just got word that the tornado sirens in Hillsborough have gone off. So remember, the tornado sirens are mainly for people who are outside. If you're inside, you'll certainly not hear it. So you'll probably most likely get that update through your phone, or if you're watching this right now, or any other sort of social media. Ash Avenue, 307th Street, Benton Avenue, eventually 310th Street. It's going to get near Salem as of right now. Could you repeat that one more time, sir? Okay. Salem sirens are also going off as well. And I'm pretty sure the DeNova sirens will be going off here soon, if there are any. And eventually it'll work its way towards Mount Pleasant as well. And it'll cross the river. Once again, this tornado warning will go for Henry County will go until around midnight. And I was told the Mount Pleasant sirens are also going off, despite Mount Pleasant not fully being in the tornado warning box, but it is certainly traveling towards that direction. So if we can put up the precautions list one more time.
I can take them through that real quick. Hagen.
All right, thank you, sir.
Be sure to take shelter in a basement or innermost room in the lowest floor of your home. If you don't have a basement, just the lowest floor of your home, innermost. Avoid windows and take with you pillows, blankets, mattresses, those protective surfaces, and also helmets. That's not a bad idea either. Bring battery-powered devices like a weather radio with you if you have one. You can also stay up to date in your safe space by downloading our weather apps, watching us live on our website, and on Facebook. We're broadcasting live on Facebook right now too. So that's how you can stay up to date if you're in Van Buren and Henry counties. Also, not a bad thing, as Hagen and I have been taking water breaks, to have some water with you in case you're there for a bit. Staying hydrated, never a bad idea.
Yep. I'll also like to reiterate that part of this rotation that's just barely grazed Hillsborough. Still, it's right now in between Ash Avenue and Benton Avenue, heading towards 310th Street, near Salem, and Erickson Avenue, County Highway J6W. The main rotation is just past Hillsborough. Right now we're right at 1120. And the correlation coefficient right now still nothing. And I also like to point out that this rotation is still kind of ahead of at least the reflectivity values. So normally these rotation, at least the velocity couplet we're seeing right here, normally that would be within parts of some of the reflectivity value, but it's kind of pushed off ahead of that. And once again, this storm is moving towards the northeast at around 20 to 25 miles an hour, and eventually we'll be in Benton Avenue, 310th Street, County Highway J6W, 310th Street, Erickson Avenue, just near Salem, and continue towards the northeast at around 20, potentially 25 miles an hour. So it actually has slowed down a little bit. And I've actually just got word from our chief meteorologist, seeing as how it's just starting to cross into Henry County. We're actually going to pass it on to one of our sister stations up towards the northeast. They will actually take full coverage of this. So, seeing as how there are no longer any tornado warnings in our section of southeast Iowa, and the one in Van Buren County is pretty much going to expire, as the storm is just about to leave the area. And I got further confirmation from our chief meteorologist, Matt Gunn. He is recommending us to go back to regularly scheduled programming, but still make sure to stay weather aware tonight.
.com and the Storm Team 3 mobile app. We now rejoin regular programming in progress.